Hello and welcome. My name is Meepolis, they, he, she, and today's pick is Undocumented, The Architecture of Migrant Detention by Tings, Chak. Originally published by the Architecture Observer in 2014, I believe the edition I have was published by Ad Astra Comics in 2017. Obviously a harrowing and potentially triggering topic. I don't have any further content notes, although I would specifically note that this is a look at so-called Canadian migrant detention specifically. Keywords that came to mind: architecture, floor plans, charts, bodies, space, and the human spirit. The summary over on Goodreads is, quote, detailing the banality and violence of the architecture of these centers and contrasts them with stories of daily resistance among immigration detainees. This book explores migrant detention centers, a global industry, and the fastest growing incarceration sector in North America's prison industrial complex, and questions the role of architectural design in the control and management of migrants in such spaces. Using conventional architectural tools of representation, the book draws from the shadows the silenced voices of those who are detained, and it confronts the anonymous individuals who design spaces of confinement. End quote. Looking over her website, Tings Chak is, quote, an internationalist, activist, and artist trained in architecture. After emerging from migrant justice movements in Toronto, Canada, she has been working with diverse working class movements across the global south. End quote. Looking at the writing and art, this is obviously an unconventional work and fairly niche, but incredibly distinct as well, particularly in a country like so-called Canada, where many of our politicians have tried to portray themselves as welcoming to immigrants and refugees, even while apparently hoping and working on the legal fronts to depend on our limited shared borders to insulate us from actually having to fulfill these welcomes. I really enjoyed the way that Chak uses juxtaposition to contrast the dehumanizing nature of incarcerating architecture with the active resistance from the people who get detained in them. As an interested outsider, I can see this as an important intervention, an invitation to consider for people going through architecture training. Although even as just an interested outsider with no background in architecture, I found this book extremely accessible and thought-provoking. Architecture is such an integral part of all of our lives, and learning more about hostile architecture in general can be incredibly eye-opening and even empowering to everyday people. To highlight a few of the things I thought were not strong, while I'm not an expert, I think some of the specifics around some of these details have changed a bit since 2014, not to mention how things have looked different previously. I just feel there could have been a bit more emphasis on the context of when this piece was written. I also found the first section of the book the most confusing visually. It's just a blip because this book is overall a pretty fast read, but figured it might be helpful to note. Not a story really in any sense of the term. I don't really have anything to say on the intersecting identities side of things. So to wrap things up, 4 stars, niche certainly, but very accessible and interesting. And concluding / stepping away from the review side of things, I will take one moment to get on a small soapbox and ask, why is it ever becoming easier for money and capital to cross borders, even as humans are increasingly demonized and shut out? We are descending into a future of eco-fascism's making, and we need to continue to fight back, even when so-called liberal and or democratic politicians are in power. Or not. Bye y'all, keep reading, and stand with striking workers. And Literally Graphic is created on land that should be given back to the traditional landholders, which in this case is, to my knowledge, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, an Anishinaabe people, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat Nation.